And that was kind of the end of it. The Oprah effect happened. And that means that I was in IKEA, or I was at some furniture store with a client, and people walk up to me, "Oh, are you that woman?
Wow.
Are you that woman that lost her husband on Valentine's Day?" And that happened for 4 years.
Wow.
They would re-air the show, and it was like Groundhog's Day.
Wow.
So as much as I didn't want to attract widows,
It's just there was another plan there.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stop it.
Hey, welcome back to Heartprints of Loss podcast with your favorite trio. I'm Amanda.
I'm Sophy.
And I'm Kristin.
And we have a very special treat today. I am so excited that we have someone that I admire in our widowhood space, and one of the very first people that I came across when I became a widow. I was actually looking for a support group for my kids, and I came across a local support group called New Hope for Kids. And somewhere within there, I don't know what happened. I don't know if Miss Carolyn had something to do with New Hope, but somehow the Modern Widows Club came up, maybe because, it was related with grief. And I saw some videos and I filled out something online that was like, become a part of this club. And then I became a part of the Modern Widows Club. Like, they started emailing me and connected. And I've met some beautiful women, and they were a huge support. I've been to, meetings. We at that time, it was 2021, so we were mostly virtual, but we were doing a couple of like quarterly get together here and there. And I actually, you all know that I established a foundation for my husband or after his legacy. And when we did the foundation kickoff and the ribbon cutting, my Modern Widows Club support group came. And
Super dope.
So,
Yes.
yeah. So there, we talk about how important support is and the connection to community and people that can relate. And Modern Widows Club definitely had been that for me initially and through to this point. And a fun fact that may or may not be known, we reference one another as Wisters, right?
Yes.
And I actually hosted our Wister retreat this past year, the very first one where we all connected. And Modern Widows Club, the founder of Modern Widows Club, actually trademarked the term Wister.
What?
Yes.
So Miss Carolyn Moor is with us today, the founder of Modern Widows Club. So thank you for being here, Carolyn.
Thank you.
We are
Amanda.
so very excited to have this wonderful discussion about advocacy and the need and what it looks like from all perspectives. And I feel like we have one of the best experts here on that. So Carolyn, tell us about yourself. We know you're the founder of Modern Widows Club. But obviously you came, people may not even know that you're a widow, but you are.
Yeah. I am. And I can't really take credit for the Wister because that was a competition. And all of our community advocates, we like to do that. We like to give them ownership in the organization. So they are the ones that came up with the Widow Sister Wister name.
Cool.
So that's where it came from. But I, my personal story's been told a lot on Oprah, on TLC, in a lot of different places. And I think it was heartbreaking, not just for me, but for people who heard the story, is because I was out for dinner with my husband. This year will be 25 years, which is shocking. I was out for dinner on Valentine's Day. We were on a Valentine's Day date, and we were coming home. A hit-and-run driver crashed into our car, and we spun out of control, and hit a light pole. The light pole came down and hit his head.
Mercy.
And he had severe head trauma. And I survived. So we were in a convertible, and we were about 2 miles from home. And I had a 2 and 4-year-old daughters at home, and I had a 50-person interior design firm. He was an architect. So we worked together. We parented together. We were best friends. We knew no one in Orlando. We moved here to work. So the only people I knew were work friends, right? And all of a sudden, I'm saying goodbye at a hospital, and they're sending me home in a vehicle after my husband has died, and I've donated actually all his organs, including his heart, which that's a whole nother story. So there is a gentleman who actually received his heart on Valentine's Day. And I met them. I met them 2 years later, which is such an amazing story.
Wow.
He's still alive, and he was the same age, 36 years old.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So it's a really remarkable, it's a tragic, but my story was one of looking very hard. This was in 2000. So there was no social media. There was no podcast. None of that going on.
Right.
It was a complete abyss.
Right.
And I had been a pediatric nurse in my 20s. So one of the things that I did know is my daughters being 2 and 4, that my primary concern was going to be them.
Right.
Because under the age of 7, with child development, is the most crucial. So when you have an actual traumatic event during that age range, you really have to do something to counterbalance that.
Right.
So my entire life, I sold my business, my interior design business. I was somewhat pushed out by our 2 male partners, which I didn't know at the time that I could have fought for that. There's so many little Easter eggs that not only happen to me, but I see happening to other women that brought me to the point of becoming a widow advocate, because I was really just a woman who was looking for support.
Right.
Legitimate support. There had to be another woman who had experienced what I was going through, but I couldn't find her. So New Hope for Kids I found because I first and foremost had to find something for my daughters.
Right.
And I did. And we're very fortunate, because at the time there was only 200 centers like New Hope for Kids across the country. So we were very fortunate.
Wow.
Then when I left, I went out into the world, and I thought, well, I'm going to find the support in my mind that I thought existed. And I couldn't find it. So I ended up coming back to New Hope for Kids and being on the board.
Gotcha.
And what I did is I did public speaking and really started talking. I was the poster child of a family who had been served, and this is what it was like.
New Hope.
So that's really you look back and you go, that's when her advocacy started. But I didn't know that at the time.
Right.
Because I truly believed that someone out there was advocating for widows, and someone somewhere was really caring for widows and really making things happen. Until I proved myself wrong again and again and again and again when I went looking. And so the story just continued. But that was really kind of the beginning. I did not plan on doing anything with widows at all. Okay,
Me either.
Right?
Right, in real life.
I couldn't find any, and then all of a sudden, I'm at New Hope for Kids, and they had a production team come in town that was from TLC, and they were shooting this TV show called Shalom in the Home, and it was this rabbi, this Orthodox Jewish rabbi, Shmuley, who would come in and he'd help families. And there were 20 episodes, and I was the only parent. So all the other families had 2 parents.
Wow.
So I was like feeling a little
out of place.
you know, the odd, definitely the odd one. And yet it was the most powerful one in the ratings and everything. Because Rabbi Shmuley it wasn't a TV show for him. It was real. He saw in me all of the women he knew, his mother who had been left solo, and he's all kind of came up to the front and went, I need to help this woman.
Yeah.
And he befriended me. And somewhere when they aired the show, there used to be this old TV show, I don't know if you remember it, called Trading Spaces.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
It was
it's
like
been a while.
It
was a design show.
or was it?
They would trade spaces.
Oh, yes,
they would
yes,
trade
yes,
spaces
yes,
and
yes.
redo them or something like that. Well, it was a very popular show, and
Yeah.
they took my show and put it on that night, and I guess it was like a Saturday night instead of a Monday, which is when Shalom and Home normally aired,
Blew up.
and it blew up.
Yeah.
And that's when the Oprah, the
Yeah.
Harpo Inc.
Yeah.
Saw the
Yeah.
episode and said, we want you to come and be on this show called Troubled Families. And I was like, hell no.
No way.
Troubled Families. Like, you know how long I've been fighting to be not that?
Yeah.
And then they just said, no, we want you to come on the end of the show because we have all these 2-parent families that aren't doing as good of a job as you.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, okay, now I'm representing someone.
Right.
It's too much pressure, man. Because, you all know.
Right.
The reality is,
Yeah.
it's hard to get in the shower.
Oh, yeah. For
It's,
sure.
the mask we put on.
Right.
And here I'm supposed to go on Oprah. And,
Yeah.
and I did. And I did go on the show.
Good for you.
And I met Oprah, and it was a beautiful experience, and it was very real. And Oprah was very gracious, and in backstage, she gave me, and I should have brought the heart. She bent down and she gave my daughters this little glass heart, and she said, "Girls, just imagine. Okay, it's Oprah.
Oprah. Oh my God.
Right.
No,
seriously.
okay.
What's happening?
I just got through talking to her on stage, which is scary enough.
Right.
But then you're backstage, and she goes, "Girls, grow up and be smart girls, because smart girls can change the world." And I was just like, okay, like there's no phones of it, there's no recording of it allowed, so it's all
just
memory.
in your mind, in your heart.
What a
Forever.
beautiful memory.
Yeah, that's
And then she just turned to me and she said, "Do something with this pain. There's a big opportunity ahead of you." And I'm just like, I don't know what the hell that's going to be, but it's not going to be me.
Right.
And I went home and I just said, am I that woman that they're seeing in me?
Yeah.
They keep calling me like an everyday hero, and I'm just like, I'm trying to make it all happen.
Survive every day.
Right.
And that was kind of the end of it. The Oprah effect happened. And that means that I was in IKEA, or I was at some furniture store with a client, and people walk up to me, "Oh, are you that woman?
Wow.
Are you that woman that lost her husband on Valentine's Day?" And that happened for 4 years.
Wow.
They would re-air the show, and it was like Groundhog's Day.
Wow.
So as much as I didn't want to attract women,
There was another plan there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
and I couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
And so when Oprah went off the air, that I actually regressed because I stopped going to networking events because everyone wanted my Oprah contacts, and it was back in the day. You have to remember like how if you got on Oprah, like there was only like 2,800 people that sat on that sofa. So I never regretted doing it.
Right.
But I had to spend years thinking about why did that happen to me, and what's the role, and I ended up having to sell my house because so many people recognized my house.
Wow.
And I had to move. So there were real consequences in actually being a public figure.
Right.
And I never really wanted that
Right.
part of what I do.
Yeah.
Right.
But at some point you have to come to terms with, you've been chosen for
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
His plan.
Widowhood has been chosen for you.
Yeah.
And so is what you do with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what I learned the most. And so I said, I will mentor 2 widows. I can do that. And on a third Thursday, my schedule was open. You guys have, kids. Third Thursday, that day's open. I'll invite these two widows that people have been asking me to meet with. And that's how it all started. It was in a very informal, I'll just listen to you. I'll teach you anything I've learned along the way, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then that universal rule thing happened, that widows know widows. And then it
We're
just
our
took
own
its
little
course.
sorority.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
And then, I really started, my eyes kind of I really just got open to the broad landscape of what's really happening
Yeah.
in widowhood and how it truly impacts every family.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
And yet no one knows anything about it. And that actually then turns into the lack of support.
Right. Right. And
So it's about bridging this gap
Right.
of lack of knowledge, lack of funding for legitimate support, and making it available and accessible
right.
to
Right.
all women
Right.
everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just a small task.
Yeah. Just a tad. Because you say, everybody's impacted by this. And 70% of women will experience widowhood in their lifetime, right?
70%. Very good.
So we know at some point we're experiencing this. Families experience widowhood, grief, and loss.
Yeah.
Yet we still don't know what to do with it.
Right.
We still don't have the support needed for it. There's so much that comes with this journey called widowhood. And here we are at the forefront trying to push for legislation, support, advocacy, healthcare. I mean, all of the things that are needed.
Well, the beautiful thing is we are the subject matter experts. This is what I know now.
Yes.
And empowering women that they are the experts, not somebody else, trying to tell you what it is that you need to do.
Right.
What I now know is our even our greatest legislators, our presidents, our vice presidents, our local senators, congressmen, none of them know
no
this
idea.
stuff. They don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I think I had to go through the cycle of, okay, I'm going to go find
Yeah.
who knows? And I went to all the corners. I went to all the top places of worship. I went to D.C. I went into all the
Government
different
spaces.
federal government spaces.
So fun. Another fun fact story. I work for the Department of Children and Families, and fortunate in my role when people, complain to the governor, it comes to me. Or, your local legislator, when you have concerns, my role handles legislative concerns that go to the governor. We've restructured a bit, so a lot of it's handled in Tallahassee too, but, things come down, and I handle things locally. And so she did write the governor and was like, hey, something along the lines of, what's the support for widows, and what's the Department of Children and Families doing? And it came to me and I was like, hey, I'm a widow too. And my department, that's a great question, And so I even, it really pushed me to say, hey, I know our department in and out. And I'm like, HR, I'm like, no. Where did I go? I didn't go within my department. I went to Modern Widows Club and I went to New Hope for Kids. And we are the Department of Children and Families. And that makes sense,
Right.
And there are, and I think you had mentioned they pushed you to Elder Affairs or something.
Oh, well, yes, they pushed me to Department of Elder Affairs first, and then I said, well, what about the widows that are under 65?
not elder.
Right.
Because
a lot of
average
those.
age is 59.
59,
And so
I
you're
know,
not
I'm like,
even, and then here we are, much younger. You became a widow much younger than, elder, and so are we. And so it's like, what? And so, and I even reached out. At that point, I reached out to our HR and a couple other departments and was like, hey, because, then it got me thinking, do they even know I'm a widow?
No, for her, I
Does my
think
department know that I'm so like, what's that response? And no, and I reached out to HR and I was like, hey, and then nobody ever even responded to me. And that doesn't usually happen either, and it was a couple of
That's
things.
crazy.
And I think it's because they don't have a response. They don't have answers,
They don't.
So yeah, that's a fun little fact too. We got connected somehow on the back end when she was reaching out to government. And I was like, oh.
When it came to you, you're like, it's
cool.
Amanda.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Oh my gosh, we've never met. I would just know of you.
Yeah.
And there's one letter I've written. The whole the whole. Well, we just did a research project, and you were actually a part of it, interviewing, and it's called the Widowhood in Focus: Bridging the Gaps in Access and Inclusion for Widow Support Across Florida. And what we did is we researched your department, a lot of other departments, but where people typically would go, but also more importantly, where are they experiencing dead ends? You experience a dead end with your own job.
Yeah.
In the systems that trickle down from federal to state. And anyway, this report actually really shows it's both a lack of access, it's a very clear gap, but we're an inclusion issue. We are an inclusion issue that has never been addressed yet.
Yep.
We're right there with the LGBTQ community. We're right there with anyone else who can't find where they have any equal rights. So we're women. Okay, so there's men and women.
Right.
And women's health and research is lower, but widowhood is not even on the chart. We're not even at the table yet.
Wow.
Of a conversation within the women's health.
Right.
I've gone to all kinds of women's health events, asked to be a speaker, and even the women won't let anyone who's widowed speak at women's events.
Wow.
So that was the first thing, even at events that are all about women and investing.
Yeah.
So you would think the top-notch, like women in financial advising would be right there with us because they have a lot of widow clients. But mostly women with sound financial stability. What about all the women who don't?
Right.
Which is the majority.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes, correct.
50% of widows in this country are living in near poverty or poverty. 50%. There's 14 million women right now.
Right.
Widowhood is a ticket to poverty.
Yep.
And why? Because we get less reduction,
The secondary
tax
ones.
reduction.
Yeah.
We get higher taxes.
Higher
Our taxes go
rates
from
for
either 20 or 22 to go up to 24. Insurance goes up. Health insurance goes up the moment your spouse dies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why don't they wait till the end of the year to increase it? There's so many.
Why do they increase it at all?
Yeah, that part. Like, why? Like, we don't have our spouse any longer.
Because it's based on the amount of people on the plan.
Yeah.
Mercy.
Oh, they've got a reason. They'll
Yeah, I'm sure, but I think that the reason is just it doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's like really like we don't have that, so you're gonna, it really should be something for us to be like, listen, when you become a widow, this is what we have something for you because but no, they don't.
Well, first of all, we don't have a national day. We don't have a national day where we can even have these sort of like. Powwow sessions. Can't have a march in D.C. There's no widowhood caucus. This is what I learned 2 years ago. I'm like, where's the widowhood caucus? We don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like,
non-existence.
Well, where are we in the subgroup of the women's caucus?
Doesn't exist.
Shaking it up. Carolyn.
So when I say when I say men and women, and then you come over here to women, okay, so it's a tough conversation to have.
Oh yeah,
because now we're talking about gender inequality, but then we're talking about lack of inclusion and inequality within our own gender.
Yes.
That's hard to
accept.
Yes. Yes. And so you go looking for the helpers, and we've found some. We have found some. We have really found. I've got good news for you.
Let's hear it.
Okay, I want you to take a guess. the very first state that actually just ratified International Widows Day as a state to recognize it statewide.
Here in Florida.
Took it to Senate. What state do you think? If you thought that the widows would be treated the best, what state would just pop up in your mind? It's a good question, right?
Yeah, because I can't even see. New York?
Ooh, close.
Oh, so it's in the Northeast?
It is in the Northeast, of course. Think about it.
Connecticut.
No.
I was going to say, because I'm from Connecticut.
Think of the hottest senator ever.
The hottest senator. I'm thinking about a hot senator.
Cory Booker.
Oh, New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Oh,
New Jersey.
Jersey.
Good for
Okay, now he had nothing to do with
Probably
it.
his girlfriend. Because he's dating. Is he
She said he has nothing to do with it.
And I wanted to say that out loud, Cory, in case you actually do listen to
I know that's right.
We'll send it to him.
So it was Gordon Johnson. Nice. Gordon Johnson. He's an African American man. And it was because one of my Filipino widow philanthropists in New Jersey came to me 2 years ago and said, what can I do? And I said,
Wow.
I need you to use your power as a philanthropist to help we need the first date, because until we get the first date to take it through the Senate, and as of September 19th, the very first joint resolution, and I wrote it. I actually wrote the
Yes.
So we're gonna get this in Florida.
Yeah, Bill SJR 30 got passed, and you'll see a post on Widow Life on this.
Wow.
But because I'm thanking all 40 people who said yes.
Wow.
Amazing.
Out there.
I know that's
Did
right.
anybody say no?
No, nobody. This is the point.
amazing.
Once you get it there,
Yeah.
people care about this cause.
Right.
But this process took almost 3 years at the beginning of 2022, and that this long
we're
to get it through all the different,
layers.
the community service and
So
the
when
women's
is their,
health.
is it on June 23rd? When is their date? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Yay.
always going to be. So what I asked for was it to coincide with the United Nations International Widows Day.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, which is
So all
June
of our
23rd,
states.
yeah.
So International Widows Day was, I didn't know about International Widows Day either until the person who created it reached out to me and said, our marketing team told us that you promote International Widows Day more than anyone else in the United States.
Wow.
And I'm literally standing in line at Publix going, I'm just like an independent person. Like I don't, I have a nonprofit, but it's like we don't have any concerted effort or movement around this.
Right.
Literally me just texting, waiting for my kids to get out of crew or getting at the grocery store. That was the biggest effort
Wow.
in the United States.
Wow. But
And-
it takes
and-
one person, you know what I mean, to speak up and speak for us, and then it's like boom,
Yeah.
you know.
And he lives in London, and he's from India.
Wow.
And he saw his dad die when he was 10.
Oh wow.
And he saw what happened to his mom in India, who it's a disgrace to become widowed. You can never remarry. Your status goes down. You have to wear white. It's like a scarlet letter.
Right.
Wow.
And when he got married, the minister said, please ask your mom to get off the podium because she's bad luck. Because she was a widow. Oh, yeah. Culturally, women are treated horribly around the world.
Yeah.
And he said,
Damaged
this is
goods, it's
insane, and I'm going to change this.
He did.
And today he petitioned the UN for 10 years. I've met him. I love Lord Lumba. He's in the House of Lords in London. And so 2 years ago, got to go there and go to the House of Lords and meet his entire family and just meet really the top level widow advocates.
Wow.
And they're a small but very passionate group of people.
Absolutely.
And I can't wait. I need to. After this
That's so
podcast, I'm going to be
exciting.
emailing Lord Lumba and telling him this because I just kind of got the information.
So breaking news, hot off the press. right
Exactly.
on us.
Yes.
Right?
Making a
I mean,
difference.
it makes you feel good.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
We just have
The
50 more states to go.
I
Or?
know.
No.
Right.
You know, that's amazing.
So we have
That is-
3 states represented here. We have
yes.
Florida, Georgia, and
Georgia.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah. Get it going in your states, sister.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Where, Georgia and where?
North Carolina.
Oh yeah, but we love that these are both really good states.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So we will be going to Tallahassee.
Yep.
You know, and hopefully you'll be coming with us.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we need representatives kind of on the inside.
Yeah,
For sure.
There's really more. There's more funding coming into this state for widowers,
Oh, that's good.
fatherhood initiatives, than there are
We
for
do have fatherhood
motherhood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
we talked about
Know all
this.
about the fatherhood
So, and there's very few widower resources.
Right. We just had a widower
We
on.
we just did.
Yeah.
You know.
So there, it's a need, but it's a smaller percentage because there's only about 3 million widowers,
compared to us.
and a lot of them remarry.
Right.
You know,
Right.
between one
Yeah.
statistically,
Statistically,
that's true.
they
Yes.
remarry
Oh yeah.
quicker
Yeah.
than us.
They get on
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really been this is Lord Lumba's book. He created the very first report called the Global Widows Report. It's a 216-page document study, and I've met everyone who has actually been a part of this,
Oh wow.
and you can see that I've kind of
Right. You ran through
Very-
that, Carolyn. Look at it. You ran through it.
Very frequented book. I actually see you reference this quite a bit. the
I
global
learned this,
widows
and too few people had this resource, and I absorbed this, and I just said, ultimately, here's what happened when I went to the UN. They said, we're waiting for you, the United States.
Mm.
And that in turn meant you,
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
me, because I'm standing there representing supposedly the United States.
Yeah.
And I know no way to do this,
Right.
right? Except talk about it,
Yeah.
like we're doing here.
Absolutely.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
And the people that listen, then they'll go online and they'll look for this PDF and they'll start reading it. And it doesn't take long after that when you start seeing that widowhood worldwide is really a crisis of injustices to women.
Yep.
I don't, a woman, when she becomes widow, I always say, we're women of fulfilled marriage vows.
Yes. Yes.
Promise made, promise
Promise
kept,
kept.
promise honored.
Yeah.
Grief is honored in talking about the love that was given to you to pass forward and transform and transfigure into whatever is uniquely the way you express it, right?
Right.
Grief never goes away. It becomes smaller part of your life.
Right.
And in our organization, really, it's about grief and growth feels about the same in the impact of the body and how you experience it. So a lot of times we have to help our ladies understand grief is distress. It is true that very first bereavement, that mourning, that's distress. There's no other way to describe it.
Right.
It's considered negative stress in the psychology world. So eustress is positive stress. That's, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to go on that first date. I'm going to
Talk on this podcast.
whatever's scary to do, but you're going to
You're gonna do it.
anyway.
Yeah.
That's eustress.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have a language for any of these things. I thought I was triggering my grief when I would go and do something new, and there's so many new news, right?
Yeah.
So
We
many
know
new.
so many new news.
Yeah.
And so what I learned is really that for us, as difficult as widowhood is, it's not a life sentence.
Absolutely not.
It's not a death sentence, I mean.
Right.
In many of these countries, Afghanistan being number one most per capita widows for female population who have no rights. You know, I'm interviewing Fauzia Kufi, who is the biggest widow advocate from Afghanistan for my podcast, Healthy Widow, Healthy Woman. These are the women I want to talk about. These are the women who have big stages, whose voices will really educate us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Me, you know, and it's like a puzzle being put together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone's podcast, everyone's blog, everyone's event, we're rising up.
Yeah.
All of us are lifting each other up and sharing that information. And it's I'm an Aquarian, man. I'm just like Oprah. I'm a humanitarian. This is just my jam.
Yeah.
I love this.
My jam.
I love it. My boyfriend, he's just like, you live, breathe, eat, sleep this. And I'm just like, yeah, it's the only time I'm not thinking about is when I'm, with you.
And I'm about to start thinking. Limited time.
You're like, where'd you go? And I'm out on my computer. But it's a very fulfilling. I left my very successful career in interior design. I had high-end clients with no budgets. David Copperfield, the illusionist, Alan Jackson. I had big clients that were never, they were going to continue on.
Right.
But ultimately, you look at that and go, I think God's calling me somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I just got to jump, and I don't know if I'm going to survive financially.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen. And then you get an email, you get a door open. You get a philanthropist wanting to go to bat for you and help, and it's a good day.
Right.
It's a good day to share. I've never shared this with anyone.
That's
You guys are the first ones.
amazing.
Because,
I know.
So,
We're so honored.
when was that catalyst? Was there a certain point where you went from, because you took us through the beginnings, a Thursday with 2 other widows, and now it's, you're widow advocate. There was, there's that, was there a specific point, a catalyst? Like, how did you go from, because we're starting our widow foundation, and here advocating through our platform. But there's so much more. And
it really is just a matter of just saying yes, constantly saying yes. I wouldn't be where I am today if I wouldn't just say, yes, I'll go look at that, or I'll go talk to that person, or then I'd learn something there, and then it fills in a puzzle over here. I understand it really well now. And it makes me a very dangerous woman, and I love that.
I love that. I love that you love that.
Right? Because I am like, put me there. Let me debate. Let me be on that panel. Like, it excites me. Because I'm about to roll out some information. It's called uncommon knowledge that nobody else knows. And women like you would be sitting in the room and you'd be going, and yet you have to do it in such a calm and professional way, typically.
Yeah, of course.
But it was really Oprah. It was that moment where you go, how did I get here? And it really was saying yes to being on the board, yes to that film crew, which made me go through a psychological test. And I just thought, they're definitely not going to pick me.
What's going through this test?
They said, why do you feel like you're stuck? I go, I'm in love with a man that's not alive. That do you not understand? And they're like, she's perfect. So being yourself, being straightforward to that. I'm like, I'm gonna lose whatever it is. I don't even know what I'm losing. And they loved it, and it turned into this. Really, I'm still friends with a lot of the crew that still was there, and very sweet things. But it it went from there to that Oprah effect, and then looking at yourself in the mirror and going, when it comes down to it, am I proud of what I've created? Am I proud of my life that I've built? Am I? And what is that for me? And that's why I became a mentor, because I realized that I had something to share. And then once you empower a woman, she wants to lead. It's exactly what you're doing right now. And then when you empower a leader, she wants to empower more leaders.
I
love that. And then those leaders become advocates. They never leave our system. They never. And most women are in Modern Widows Club for 5 to 7 years, And that's what the research actually shows.
Wow.
That when they leave grief centers in that 1 year, maybe 2, if you're lucky, you go for kids, it's 1 year. 1 year, we've loved having you. Bye-bye. And it's not enough.
It's not.
And now the research that we have developed with universities is actually showing that. I knew it was a minimum of 5 years. I knew it because I saw patterns in women. I've talked to tens of thousands of women, but I couldn't prove it.
Yeah.
So when you get thousands of women to independently do a survey, there it is.
There it is. There's the data.
I didn't fudge any of that. That's the proof right there.
Right.
And then you create programs based on what's the reality. And that's where this book came into play. So I went looking for the best widow leader and researcher, and it was Helena Lapata from Loyola University. So I got this book, and I opened it up, another book this one. I opened this book, and I went, 1997?
Oh, that's
Because I already read the whole book, and it was like today.
Wow.
And I realized nothing has changed. And that made me mad. That disappointed me. And lucky for me, that type of emotion brews up and then it comes out as advocacy.
Okay.
It comes out as, well, let's talk about that subject.
Right.
Yeah, I love it.
So if only 1% of the female population is widowed at age 40, but then fast forward in time, and at 85 years old, me, 73% of the entire female population is widowed. Why was no one helping these women from 40 to 85?
Right.
that's huge.
Then you start becoming the advocate, and it's so empowering.
Right? Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yes,
With
yes,
Oprah
yeah, no,
telling
yes,
her,
it
like
is.
turn that pain into something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make you feel like, you know, like you're doing something amazing, which you are, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's fulfilling because that's what you look for for when we all are widows. You look for something that's going to fulfill you, something that's going to allow you to make an impact to help somebody else, to know that you can help thousands and thousands of widows who probably at one point said, I don't even want to live no more. What can I do? I can't go to my best friend or to the, to whoever, because they haven't experienced it. But then you look at us and then like, wait, she know what I feel.
Well,
I could live. I could actually live. I could breathe. I could do this. And it's like, then at that moment, you can actually feel some type of fulfillment because you're like, I helped this person see. You know what I mean? And that's what it's about. Like when we're going through these things called life. I say, this thing called life. It's a bit much. You know what I mean? How did I expect this? You know what I mean? And then it happens and then you get through another part of life, this journey. Like walking through the woods, you know what I mean? And then you got these branches that you're going through. One might hit you back in the face, you know what I mean? And then you get past that. And then somebody you see like, hold on, you lost in the woods too?
Yeah.
Like we could find this together. Okay, which way did you go?
Yeah.
Oh, don't go that way. And then that's what widowhood is. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I tried this. And then it's like, you might want to try it. And then it might not work for you, but then it might work for you. Yeah. So then you're like, man, I did something good. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it feels good. And then that's when you feel like, wow. You know what I mean? If a bad thing did happen, a tragedy did occur, but somebody is able to say, I want to live because you showed me in 25 years. If I gave up today, 25 years from now, I wouldn't even know that I still have this. I still can move forward. I could still see my kids. You know what I mean? Because there's people that when their spouse passed away, they passed away too, as far as like physically, and they had to be buried. You know what I mean? And then their kids, and then it's like, dang. And then we looking at us. I'm almost 6 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're all in different years, and then we would have gave up, and we wouldn't have been able to sit here with you. Yeah. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And be like, wow, okay, so you 25 years in, all right, so I'm 5, I got 20 more years and I can still do something great. You know what I mean? Like but that's what I'm saying, and that's why we talk about it.
This is why we have to tell widows how
Yes.
formidable they actually really are.
Yeah.
We have to. You know what the number one thing is that women lose besides their spouse or loved one when they become widowed?
What?
Their confidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yet we don't tell each other that. It's a little secret we have. And I didn't realize, like, I'm a businesswoman. Like, I'm all that, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I can't even freaking get out of bed or, like, stop myself from breaking down and crying until I pass out. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's a complete destruction of the life that, or the person you had. You did die, actually.
Yeah.
The person
Your
you
identity.
were with them
Completely.
did die.
Yeah.
It died.
Yeah.
I just made a post and said that. I said
Yeah.
2 bullets.
We have recognized that.
Because my husband was murdered, then my son was murdered, and I said 2 bullets, but 3 deaths because I died at that moment. You know what I mean? You know,
Absolutely.
you're never going to be the same person. You know?
And when tragedy hits your life, now I work with resilience experts at Mount Sinai, and because I have a nursing background, I really wanted to understand what happened to me and what was supposed to show up for me. More importantly,
Yeah.
and how do I build that? Because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a social worker, I'm not a psychologist.
Yeah.
I'm an interior designer.
Oh, you're all of the other things now.
And now I realize, I'm an interior designer, but a different kind.
Yeah.
A different kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I help redesign widows' lives.
Hearts and
That's huge.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yep.
And I know you feel.
I felt an anointing right there. That is
That's viralable.
Yeah.
So it feels very full circle for me.
Yeah,
Having had this
absolutely.
nursing background, doing design, kind of understanding a life where, there's a big difference between a woman who has financial stability and not.
Yeah.
Life insurance or not. Huge difference.
Yeah.
And
we're like, I
depended
call
on
like, hold on,
folks'
it's been
support.
what, I'm like, hey, could I get Social Security? Somebody like, you could. Even I'm like, well, he didn't have nothing. They like, and I called, no. I was like, it was worth a try to see. You know what I mean? Nothing for us. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, every day I learned something new. During the pandemic, I was talking to some students, actually, and they said, because my dad died and my mom became widowed, but because my mom didn't sign the actual loan agreement, it was forgiven.
What?
But if that mom would have actually paid the loan, would have signed with her husband, she would have been on the hook for it.
Wow.
And I was like, so you take the lower earning signer and then you make them pay off the loan because the higher earning signee died.
Yeah.
But if she wouldn't have ever been on there, so
it's forgiven
this
anyway.
is the levels of policy, the levels of the injustices that I have learned that, again, make me angry.
Yeah. No, seriously, we
Fuel
get
your
it. Yeah.
fire and makes you go harder.
But I understand now. I understand a lot about widowhood is in psychology terms is an attachment problem that needs a reattachment solution. So what's going to happen is when you are detached from your husband and murder your son, what you decide to, as this new person that you are, and by the way, you're an infant at that point.
Yeah.
You're an adult thinking, but you're an infant. Your life has just started.
Yeah.
So you're not going to stand up right away. You are going to roll over. You're going to crawl.
Yep.
Then you're going to barely stand up. And then at some point you're going to take a step. It is very much, if you think about the infancy, but what you reattach to, think about it. You know how many people become alcoholics, substance abusers, bad relationships with domestic violence. Literally, if we solved the issue of the lack, and let me put it this way, the neglect. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
The neglect of supporting women. You know what else it would solve? women going and being in relationships and domestic violence,
relationships,
and the one that no one talks about,
human trafficking.
human trafficking. Female fatherless daughters are the very wellspring of human trafficking, and they won't even talk about it because they don't want to give us any of their funding.
Dang.
Then you start getting into the gray area like that. Then you start going to Florida for appropriations, and you get cut out at the end because they don't want to give you $25,000 when they could just like give you that as out of a slush fund. Then you start realizing you're in a different world, playing a different game for the right reason. And that's where I am. But you know what? I'm right.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to keep me going.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop.
Yeah. I love it.
I do too.
Don't ever stop.
Don't ever,
Please
yeah,
don't
for
ever
real.
stop.
And it's just amazing what you do, and that's why we are so grateful to have you on here.
Yeah.
Because you're about to help so many more people. You know what I mean? Like, and not only
fuel
that,
the fire
us.
to many
So
other
many things I
widows.
didn't even know by you just coming. You know,
It's just, everybody has a place at the table.
Oh, yeah.
Men, family members, co-workers, everybody. The newest thing, which you're probably going to learn this, the SAM, HSA, which you probably don't know what that is.
Sam H.
The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Just this week came out with a fact sheet for survivors of loss and a tip sheet how to support a person who is grieving the loss of a life. Y'all, why did it take so long to get these? Took 25 years ago I needed this. And it just dropped last week.
wow.
I need that.
In the main, and there's more. There's stuff for the children. Yeah. It's mind-boggling to me. But I'm happy to be here at this time in history. And I got more good news. We just got chosen as a women's health champion through the OWH, which is the Office of Women's Health in DC. And so I've been working on that because I went, widows deserve to have a voice at the table when we're talking about women's health.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
this is the beginning.
Yes.
This is the beginning.
Amazing.
I love it. I love it.
So dope.
Wow. And that's something that's not the impact on our health.
I know.
Trauma on the body, and it's not recognized enough, even within our community, the different health challenges that we go through.
Then having no health insurance. To that.
Yeah, when you lose your health insurance or you
You don't have access to
to the health care,
healthcare.
and we're going through
right.
a health crisis.
Well, and the interesting thing is when we did that report about the gaps in access, lack of access and inclusion, we purposely had Sina do it. You're probably wondering why we picked Sina. She was from the University of Southern Denmark. We strategically did that because in Denmark, when you become widowed, you are automatically moved to the mental health support programs.
But isn't Denmark voted the happiest country in the world?
Yeah. Yep.
It's like a happy place there.
So I compared Florida to Denmark
Oh boy.
in our report to show the disparity of these two and how if Florida wants to profess to be a very Christian, a very, right way, then they might want to pay attention to the 914,000 widows that are actually in this state.
Wow.
And they're the fourth largest state for widows. Why don't you be a leader in that area?
You heard that?
Mic drop.
Governor?
Boom.
With that. Wow, this has been amazing. I know you have one other. Do you have a new?
Oh, yeah, I have a
release?
Yeah.
On my 25th anniversary.
A 25th anniversary, which is February
14th, Valentine's Day. I'm gonna have a book signing in February. And what I decided is just, widows always get these grief books, but I'm like, well, what about the wisdom and empowerment we possess?
Yeah.
Why don't we have a book for that, a daily book? So it's called daily. This is not for. This is the one that's going to come just
Wisdom
a
and
sample,
empowerment
but it's
for
daily
widows.
wisdom and empowerment for widows. A
love it.
365-day devotional.
Yes.
And we've asked 40 widows and widowers and daughters who lost their dads because they're the next gen.
Yes.
Because
Yeah,
let me tell you, those Gen Zs and those millennials, they will not be putting up with this.
Right.
They will not.
Right.
Right.
They have a lot of opinions about how their moms are
Yeah, no.
treated and their grandmothers
Oh
are treated.
yeah,
They don't want it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is going to come out, and so it's just a daily where you just be encouraged with wisdom and
That's awesome.
and it's
Thank
it's
It's very well
you know,
needed.
Awesome.
Honestly, because
not religious. It's all
We'll have
different
the link
faiths
to
and-
that in our notes, our
Yes.
show notes, and we'll probably do a little giveaway for it.
Yeah, that'd be
Oh,
dope.
that'd be awesome. Yes, I love that.
Okay. Well, thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so
Carolyn.
much.
Is there
Thank
any
you.
last? I feel like you just did a mic drop. So
I know.
I know, it was like-
Totally.
So I don't know if there's anything else that you want to share or before we.
No, just you just we're part of a Wisterhood.
Yes.
You know, just remember you're the subject matter expert. Don't let anyone tell you any different. Actually believe in the knowledge that you have earned.
Yes. Earned. Yes. Yes. Yes.
so
Yes.
true.
Thank you.
Is there like
Thank
an
you so much.
annual gala or something?
She does. You do. There's an annual
Oh, so we're going to have a Widows Health and Wellbeing Day, and it's going to be here in
It's
Orlando,
here.
and it's going to be on June 21st,
Okay,
Saturday,
so like 2
June
days
21st.
before the
Yeah,
national-
and we have our big annual meeting. It's a little bit different than the Widow Empowerment event from the past because we want to bring together policymakers and faith leaders and business, corporations that are compassionate about this cause and educate them and raise awareness because advocacy now is a big part of what we do. That's why this year we turned into the Modern Widows Club, the Movement for Widow Care, which is both under MWC. Because we were already doing it, but we needed to formalize it. So June 20th and June 21st is going to be an entire weekend of Widow Power.
I love
Widow Power. Yes.
Wister Power, that's right.
And just one thing.
Come
last
and have your
thing.
voice heard.
it. Yes, I
One
love
last
it.
thing before you go, just because I think this is so important. I don't think people recognize the impact. You started with the two at your house, right?
Yep,
And now
about
modern-
50,000.
across
The world.
The world.
Wow, that's amazing.
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 Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
You are
much.
so amazing.
Thank
So
you.
dope.
Thank you.
So
It's always an honor to be with Wisters.
Man, no. Yes.
Always
it
say
is.
yes.
Yes. Always say
Always
yes.
say yes. Always say
Yes.
yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thank
guys
you
for
so
watching.
much. Peace and blessings.